Chapter 1, The Birth of a Conscious World Through Symbolism and Heritage. I am going to elaborate on my birth into this existence and explain the signs and wonders that have synchronistically influenced the manifestation of this world's complete creation. I was born December 18, 1984 at 11:10 a.m. in San Diego, California. This birth date, time, and place is the absolute blueprint of the beginning, middle, and end of this entire world's existence, exactly like a book that projected an ongoing movie. Everything is symbolized through occult philosophies to create material to use to bring to life a story. I was born with an identical twin brother that was coincidentally born 22 minutes ahead of me, and I don't believe in coincidences. His birth date would need to be ahead of mine because esoterically, it would act as a secret code to piece together the future before my current moment could experience it. For instance, there's this invisible so-called ghostwriter that is algorithmically dictating this story's reality. The number 22 represents the moon astronomically, and if we further examine this number, 2 plus 2 equals 4. 4 represents north, south, east, and west, and is also representative of the High Priestess card in the tarot, squared, meaning a double X. The chromosome representing the female. Also, the number 4 in the tarot represents the Empress card, which is to remain hidden by the moon. Darkness, or specifically speaking, man's emotional body, the square within the circle. This coincidence also means a man on a cross as a sacrificial lamb in order to make this quote-unquote planet Earth fruitful or bountiful. Now let's play this number game and examine some of these numbers. My identical twins' social security number also reduces down to 22 coincidentally, and this further justifies everything as I just mentioned. My birth time, 11:10 a.m., the morning star, which represents Venus, also reveals that I possess the master number 11. The magician in the tarot is represented by the number 1, and the number 11 has 2 ones. That means 2 magicians in 1. Representing Illuminati, Freemasonry code as homosexual manpower. This is symbolic of the mirror effect of 2 bodies completely full instead of void and revealing the complete apocalypse of mankind and this world's demise. The time 11:10 a.m. also equates to the number 3, which symbolically means Trinity, a trine, and 3 eyes, one being hidden as the third eye chakra. For example, the time 11:10 a.m., the 11 is separated from the 10 by a colon, and the 10 means one eye hidden. The colon resides in the gut, which signifies a second brain-like sensation triggering intuition. The feeling you get in your gut is a hidden response sensation that stems from the third eye. My social security number reduces down to 11, which is the master number representing 2 magicians in 1. The X and Y chromosomes together in one body. A merging of the masculine and feminine powers within one body. A temple. So my identical twin brother's his social security number reducing down to 22 and mine reducing down to the master number 11 is no coincidence. Also, my birth is symbolic of me giving birth to the moon, pushing my brother out of my mother's vagina 22 minutes ahead of me. Symbolism. In Christianity, the Bible states that man came before woman. However, if we examine the X and Y chromosome, it reveals that man, X, is within man, Y. The spinal cord representing the letter X, which is a snake in the Garden of Eden, and representing quote-unquote earth, matter on a cross, X. Man, Y, representing the body and matter on the cross as a bountiful sacrifice, also symbolizing a body growing within a womb. So actually, the spinal cord X, a snake representative of female, a void, and a chaotic dark hole, is the creatrix that needed to fill its emptiness. Example, the old crone in witchcraft placing a bone in her whole cauldron to magically produce man. My mother is considered female that consists of a double X chromosome. She's void of life, so taking a quote-unquote rib, a part of herself, and growing it in her whole/womb, manifests man, a Y chromosome. Now we can make sense of the quote-unquote story of the Virgin Mary and baby Jesus Christ. We must understand that a fetus starts out a female with XX chromosomes. Just like a cauldron, if the temperature heats up high enough, the fetus will develop into a male, XY. This happens because the heat destroys the female reproductive parts by disintegrating the womb and fallopian tubes, and the ovaries drop from the lower abdomen, creating testicles in a sac. The clitoris also gets blown up and creates a phallus. Now let's examine my mother's pregnancy. She's having 2 identical male twins, which is a mirror to her own voided identity, her double quote-unquote XX female chromosomes. 2 X's, which demonstrates the canceling out of man from the very start. 2 males that cannot reproduce, representing the Illuminati, Freemason, homosexual symbology. This is exactly why I was born a transgender male. A female brain/spinal cord and a male body, combining the masculine and feminine in one in order to project outward the quote-unquote story of mankind. These facts decode the snake X in the Garden of Eden Y. X representing the feminine nature and Y representing the quote-unquote earth, man on the cross, north, south, east, and west, the masculine nature. The feminine as the computer/brain and spinal cord within the body of man that creates a machine that can move freely throughout quote-unquote planet Earth. The quote-unquote story of the Virgin Mary and baby Jesus Christ entail the Father being unknown. It also emphasizes a time gap between the ages of mother and child. My mother was born 12 years before, quote-unquote, BC, my father. This is no coincidence because at 12 years of age, a female, quote-unquote, Mary or mother, in this case has reached the age of puberty and can now bear a child. There are 12 months in a calendar year, and my mother is 12 years older than my father. Representing baby Jesus Christ, my mother is 12 years older than my father. This represents Mary being my mother and baby Jesus Christ representing my father. And before Christ, BC, represents Mary existing before baby Jesus Christ, hence woman before man. So the idea of mankind could expand basically by the Virgin Mary reproducing with her son, baby Jesus Christ. Reflecting on my quote-unquote heritage and quote-unquote bloodline would allow me to piece together this mystery of life that seemed almost impossible to solve. Everything projected outside of my conscience is basically secret-coded info that symbolically serves as a message to weave together the future. How this works is random synchronistic info that I consciously perceive gets projected outward, creating the whole scene. I remember noticing my mother had the more dominant character and my father having the more submissive. This signified a mother and child relationship. My mother was the quote-unquote breadwinner and my father seemed comfortable participating in housework. This showcased a complete role reversal. Also, it justifies why the brain/spinal cord is female internally hidden within the male body that is externally shown like some sort of exhibit. My mother worked as an electronic inspector, computer brain, and my father was in the army, representing man, being at war with itself because it did not know where it originated. Revealing perfect symbolic synchronicities to fully understand the mysteries of the quote-unquote Bible story. Everything served as an informational code, so then I placed the spotlight on the reasoning for my 9-year-older half-sister's existence. What I noticed is the number 9 represents the Hermit card in the tarot, and the old wise man depicted on the card is holding a lantern that is lit up by a bright star in a cage. The star representing woman navigating an old man through the darkness. This is also symbolic of the light in the cage representing a light bulb, a woman's brain within a male's body. If we analyze the word hermit, we can break the word down to her mit, a glove that encapsulates her light. We can further use the hermit crab to understand that this dynamic represents a psychic sponge that is covered by a shell. A hermit crab that sucks the water, quote-unquote, conscious info out of a sponge, quote-unquote, brain, and is protected by a shell, quote-unquote, man's body. Also, hermit is similar to the word Hermes, which represents the planet Mercury, a messenger of info. So I would need a 9-year older sister to further decode the mystery of man and human consciousness.